Why hello there, and welcome to Some Weirdo on the Internet, and the review of an unofficial Harry Potter tabletop role-playing game. Let's begin, shall we? Hogwarts is, as previously stated, one of several unofficial Harry Potter role-playing games, which exist because there is no official Harry Potter role-playing game, as presumably J.K. Rowling didn't want to attract a bunch of nerds to her beloved franchise. But official or not, let's take a look at Hogwarts. Players in Hogwarts take on the role of young witches and wizards at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So, let's get into this and make ourselves a magical youth. Most aspects of a character can be either randomly determined or chosen by the player. We're gonna go with random because it's just more fun that way. First, we determine our character's appearance. Next, we get our wand and ambition, which are related in some way that I assume makes sense if you know a lot about the Harry Potter. After that is heritage, which determines starting spells and experience points. Then we get a favorite subject, which grants a +1 bonus on related rolls, and select our spells from the spell list for our year. If starting beyond first year, players also gain access to the entire spell list for all previous years. Now we assign an array of modifiers to our attributes. This character kinda seems like a nerd, so let's just lean into that. Then we give our character a name, and it's off to the sorting ceremony. Okay, that's unfortunate. Luckily, you are given the option to choose between the rolled house and the one associated with your best attribute. There's some additional stuff like determining your character's friends and or rivals, pets, and their Patronus, but I think I've given you enough here to get a general idea of the process. So overall, character creation is a little on the light side. Your attributes, heritage, and favorite subject are really the only things that have any kind of mechanical effect on your character, with everything else really just being flavoring. I guess it's sufficient for the game, but honestly it just leaves me kind of underwhelmed. So I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. The mechanics in Hogwarts are honestly nothing special. You roll 2d6 and add a modifier, with rolls of 10 or higher being successes, 7 to 9 being success with complications, and then 6 or lower being a failure. Although failures do give you an experience point, which you can then spend to learn new spells and get new magical objects and things like that. The interesting thing is actually the way in which the rolls are used, which is rather than rolling for specific tasks you're doing, you roll for your general course of action during the scene, and they have fairly broad descriptions like stand in the face of danger or get what you seek. Also, there are no hit points of any kind. Instead, failing a roll may incur a condition, which gives a penalty to an attribute until certain conditions are met to alleviate said condition. For example, the angry condition gives a player a -2 penalty to their cunning until they hurt someone or break something. And the embarrassed condition gives a -2 penalty to magic until you take a comment the wrong way. It's one of those things that, like, I'm sure it all made, like, perfect sense in the mind of the designer, but, like, to me, it just seems a little weird. Like, the specifics of it, not the concept. So, like I said, honestly, there's nothing special here. There are some little things I like, such as the rolling for your general actions rather than specific tasks, and some little nitpicks like the conditions having some weird conditions to remove them. But overall, it's a decent, serviceable system, so I am going to give it a 3 out of 5. I should also mention that this game is powered by the Apocalypse. But as I have literally no knowledge of Apocalypse World, I can't say how much of the system comes from that and how much of it is original. Overall, everything is written more or less well and put in an efficient manner. It's easy to find the things you're looking for, and it's easy to understand what you're reading. There is, however, somewhat of a lack of embellishment in the writing, which is probably due to the assumption that the reader is at least moderately familiar with the wizarding world of Harry Potter. However, while a little bland, it still does a very good job explaining the rules to the player, and that's what the writing is there to do. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5, but that's because I am also assuming that the reader will be at least moderately familiar with the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So this book looks great. The pages are laid out in an aesthetically pleasing manner. The illustrations, while sparse, are very nice. Just overall very nice and professional looking. Except for one page. Although I suppose calling it a book might be a little inaccurate, as it's really more like a series of sheets that are designed to be passed around. And that is a thing that I like. I like when designers take into account how their product can be used in a way beyond just, it's a series of pages, and they're in a book or a PDF, and I like when you put the extra thought into that. So it looks nice, it's easy to use, basically meets the standards of, what you should expect from a game book. So they get a 3 out of 5 for that too. Aside from the core content, Hogwarts also provides a decent list of spells, 18 for each year, plus rules for Quidditch, which I didn't mention before because I don't particularly care for Quidditch, and also some magic objects and just various wizarding miscellanea. Once again, though, it does feel sometimes like it's assumed that you know what things are, but overall they do provide you with everything you need for having a magical wizarding adventure of endangered minors. So, 3 out of 5 for the content. And there you have it, Hogwarts. A fairly average game. Honestly, I'm kind of meh about it. But I assume if you're like really into Harry Potter, it's probably way more interesting. And, I assume the target audience is Dumbledorks, not people like me who still haven't gotten around to reading Order of the Phoenix. Alright, thanks for joining me here on Some Weirdo on the Internet Reviews Obscure Role-Playing Games. If you have enjoyed this video, why not hit all those nice buttons down there? And if you'd like some more reviews, you can go to my blog, where I review generally games that are much worse than this. Well, until next time.